What if gym leaders could use Pokemon from the full Pokedex? Gym leaders have always been restricted to only using Pokemon from their Pokedex, and especially in earlier games, it was a bit of a problem. So I want to make a new team for every gym leader if they had full access to all Pokemons. Not including legendaries, of course. And we're gonna start off with Brock. We're going by his first team, of course, in specifically Fire Red and Leaf Green. Here he obviously has Geodude and Onix, and those feel like Brock Pokemons, you know? But I will still switch it up. In the anime, Brock always had silly Pokemons. We have Ludicolo, Fortress, Happiny, and even Krogunk, and I wanted to have that vibe to his team, but of course with rock types. The way Brock is explained is that he is like very rock hard and like very serious, and when it comes to moments he can laugh and don't stop. But this whole thing, rock solid, rock hard, I wanted to implement that into his team in a way. So the first Pokemon I'm picking for him is Shuckle. Obviously Shuckle has so much defense, and I feel like that would kinda match that type of vibe. And this team will be focused on Rollout, and Shuckle will be using Rollout right in the beginning. And obviously Shuckle isn't that strong, but that will do so much damage after some times. And defeating it will be kinda difficult as well because of its defense. And then the second Pokemon and the final one would be Minior. And you might be thinking that is really strong and really tough, but a lot of gym leaders, especially in Gen 1, had a little bit stronger Pokemon as their final one. And I feel like that's fair, because they have 2 and we have 6 Pokemons. It would have been a little bit different like in the anime where you can only have the same amount of Pokemon as the gym leader. But here you can have 6 Pokemon against 2. And we will also see a Rollout play with Minior. So what would happen is Minior would use Rollout, you would do damage on Minior, and then it would turn into its other form, get faster and stronger with Rollout, and it would be really dangerous. Even though Minior is strong, I feel like Minior still works because of the form changes. But I can see it becoming a new Miltank. Especially since Minior gets really fast and in its second form. And if it has used Rollout many times at that point, that's gonna be dangerous. If you don't like it, feel free to tell me in the comments what you would replace with it. Boulder could work, but I wanted that Rollout thing. And Boulder doesn't learn Rollout. Next one is Misty. And Misty's team is Staryu and Stormy. And these are her Pokemon, you know, they match her perfectly, they are known as her Pokemons. But I do feel like it's a little lame that we have 2 of the same evolution line. Misty seems like this tough and strong trainer. And I don't really mean her team, I just mean her personality, specifically in the anime. And I thought Weasel would work really well with this personality. They have a little bit of a similar color scheme, and in my opinion, Weasel seems like this tough and strong Pokemon that is still tiny and maybe doesn't look that threatening. And then the next Pokemon is a Pokemon she had in the anime, and that is Politoed. I still want a little bit of a reference to Gen 1, and I thought Politoed would work perfectly. She has had one, but not in the games. And I think it would be perfect. Obviously it's strong, but it is weaker than Stormy. We just don't have too many strong moves, so I think Weasel and Politoed would be perfect for a new Misty team. And then we have Lieutenant Surge. Obviously has Voltorb, Pikachu and Raichu, and then it switches around a little bit depending on the games. I think something really cool is in Pokemon Yellow, he only has a Raichu because of the anime. Obviously he has 3 Pokemons, so we will be adding 3 new as well. The first one I thought of is Wartortle. I think Wartortle would work really well. I can definitely see him having this bird on his shoulder, and then he tells it to fly up and look around. Obviously it's a lieutenant, and I think that could work really well just with the whole vibe of him. And having a bird that can scout for him and look around would work. I also just feel like this tough big guy having a little bird on his shoulder works really well and looks really funny, you know. And then obviously we have 3 Pokemons here. So the next one is Charjabug. And the reason why I said that is because Charjabug is pretty strong. As a second Pokemon, when you have 3 and the last one is gonna be even stronger, it feels like maybe it's a little strong, but I still think it will work. I've said that maybe Magnemite instead if you feel like it's too strong, because I'm surprised they didn't have Magnemite earlier. In Let's Go he does get Magnemite, but those are the only games, and that feels really weird. So obviously Magnemite would work really well, but I still see Charjabug working way better. It matches the color scheme, it is strong but not too strong I would say. And then the final one is Alolan Golem. Yes, I am including regional forms in this, because just look at Alolan Golem. He looks like he should be Lieutenant Surge's Pokemon. They look like they match so well. Or at least that's my opinion. And Alolan Golem's stats are actually worse than both Politoed and the second form of Minior. But because Charjabug is a little bit stronger and he has 3 Pokemons, I think this will work. And I think they all match him perfectly. Erika's team is Victreebel, Tangela, and Vileplume. She's this type of trainer that likes Pokemon no matter what. She sees the beauty in them even though they might not be beautiful or smell ugly or something like that. We have that from the anime and from her team, and I wanted to implement that into this team as well. So the first one I give her is Phantom. This is a creepy ghost type that she might have found and helped out. And maybe people wouldn't like it, but then she likes it, even though it looks a little scary. And Phantom obviously only wants friends, so Erika would be perfect for this. And then we have Lilligant. I feel like Lilligant works really well. They look similar in ways, have a similar vibe. Obviously, it doesn't work with the theme that I talked about. I don't feel like including that to the whole team. And I feel like Lilligant is a Pokemon that she would have. And the last one is Carnivine. Carnivine fits the theme that I talked about. It looks creepy, it looks scary, but she could love it. It could be there instead of Victreebel, but I still think Carnivine should be the final Pokemon. And when it comes to strength, I think it's pretty perfect. This is probably the weakest team I've made for all of the gym leaders so far. Not just based on base stats, but in moveset and coverage just in general as well. And Lilligant is stronger than Carnivine, and they're both weaker than all of the other final Pokemons on the other gym leaders that I made. But I still think it matches her perfectly, and you can probably make some good movesets with them. I think it's sad how weak Carnivine is, so we can just imagine they're stronger, you know. But in terms of strength, this is probably the worst team I made. Then we have Koga, and for some reason he has 2 Coughings, a Wheezing, and a Muck. There are so many poison types, and you give this guy duplicates? Golbat could be on the team, you know, like that would work so well. And sure, in Let's Go they fix it, but crazy how they came up with this at first. But okay, the first Pokemon I wanted to be on his team is Whirlipede. Even though Scolipede isn't the strongest, I still feel like I wanted to use Whirlipede. The other Pokemons are going to be stronger, and Whirlipede in general I would say is okay. I also feel like Whirlipede works really well for him. It looks like it matches him in a lot of ways. They have a little bit of a similar color scheme. And Whirlipede is fast. Not really. But when you see it move, it is fast. It might be really slow when it attacks, but when it moves, it's really fast. And that works really well for a ninja, like Koga. The next Pokemon is Grafaiai. I feel like Grafaiai works really well for Koga because of the whole ninja theme. And I feel like Grafaiai could be a good ninja. It could use some sort of painting ninja techniques, either when hiding or something else, you know. And I think it would work really well. The next Pokemon is Amoonguss. Amoonguss is here because it looks like a Pokeball and it can hide as a Pokeball. So when hiding, it can easily hide with a ninja because it looks like a Pokeball. Maybe not easy, but still. So the whole ninja hiding and being in the shadow works here as well. And it's a cool poison type that I think would match him very well. And it's also coverage for any ground types. And the final one is Toxicroak. Obviously, none of these have a base stat total that is over 500 or is 500. They're all under 500. But I still feel like this is perfect. Especially since there is 4 Pokemon now. But Toxicroak is pretty strong and I would say it matches Koga very well. And would be a really cool Pokemon for Koga to use. Sure, it's very weak to Psychic. But other than that, I think it could work pretty well. And we did have Whirlipede for earlier who can deal with Psychic types. And I just feel like Toxicroak works really well for a ninja. If you watched this far, please feel free to like and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. And I hope you're enjoying the video. Then we have Sabrina. She obviously has Kadabra, Mr. Mime, Venomoth for some reason, and Alakazam. I think this is really weird since there are a lot of other Psychic types as well in Gen 1. Like we have Hypno, Slowbro, Jinx, Exeggutor. So I think it's weird she has a Bug Poison type on her team. But okay, the first Pokemon for her team is Galarian Slowking. Galarian Slowking's whole vibe creeps me out and I would absolutely love for her to have it. And yeah, you might see a little bit of a jump in strength here, because this guy has 490 in base stat total. And the next one is Malamar. Malamar is so creepy and it will work so well for Sabrina. And her whole vibe would absolutely work so well with a Malamar next to her. And the dark typing takes care of any ghost types, you know. And also loses the dark type weakness. Her next Pokemon is Behem. Behem has incredible special attack and would be so good on this team. Sure, it's not the strongest Pokemon, but I think it would still work really well for this team. And Behem's creepiness and all of that would also work really well with her. And Behem does need some more love. But her final Pokemon is of course Espeon. It is such a good Pokemon for her. It works so well. I don't think I could see any other Pokemon match her as well as Espeon. And some people might say Alakazam, but that's just because you know Alakazam and her together. Espeon would be so perfect for her. And such a perfect final Pokemon as well. And here is where I thought of Mega Evolutions. And I thought I would give Sabrina Medicham's Mega Evolution, but I ended up not doing it. First of all, it's not the strongest, even though it has pure power, but also I felt like I needed Espeon on this team, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to give the gym leaders here Mega Evolutions. The next gym leader is Blaine. His team is Growlithe, Ponyta, Rapidash, and Arcanine. Really weird how they give out same evolution line when there are other fire types. Like Magmar is right there. But his first Pokemon is Darmanitan, specifically the Zen mode Darmanitan. Obviously this changes during the battle. I feel like Darmanitan in its Zen mode could be a part of the quiz, you know, and use its psychic abilities in some ways. And I feel like both forms of Darmanitan works pretty well and fits pretty well with Blaine. The next Pokemon is Torkoal. I would almost say he starts with Torkoal to set up Drought, but maybe that's a little bit too much, so let's have him at the second spot so there's no Drought from the beginning. And again, I feel like Torkoal works really well here, gives this kind of old wise turtle vibe, and Torkoal also kind of looks like a volcano. There's also a mansion on this island where the gym is, and there I believe he would have found Lampent. I didn't want to give him Chandelure because Chandelure is pretty strong, and Lampent might be a little weak, but I still think it works. And I think having a weak Pokemon is good. Then we also have Magcargo. Like I said before, there is a volcano in this island. We could find it there, swimming in the lava or something, you know. And I think it's a good member on his team. And then we have a final Pokemon, but that's 5. And he only had 4. So I want to change it around. I want him to have 5 Pokemons. So the final Pokemon is actually between 2. The first one is Mega Camerupt. It works so well. We're close to a volcano and everything like that. It would be so perfect. But then we also have Magmortar. And Magmortar works as well. And I feel like a lot of people would say Magmortar. And I agree, Magmortar matches him in a lot of ways and would work. So I have a hard time deciding between them, but it would be one of those. And I'm leaning a little bit more towards Mega Camerupt. But please tell me which one you would have wanted. Then we have Giovanni. Giovanni is obviously evil team leader, but also a gym leader, and we're only going to do the gym leader part, of course. His gym leader team is Rhyhorn Dog Trio, Nidoqueen, Nidoking, and Rhyhorn. And that is only 5 Pokemons, and I want to give him 6. In my opinion, every single final gym leader should have 6 Pokemons. So okay, the first member is going to be Blood Moon Ursaluna. This is going to be the start. I think that is perfect. Obviously as an evil team leader, and Blood Moon Ursaluna fits that pretty well, I would say. Looks creepy, is strong, and is scary. This is also going to be his strongest member, and he is using it instantly. I think that works really well and is really cool. The next Pokemon will be Galarian Stunfisk. He is some sort of trap, and I feel like that works really well for an evil team leader, or just an evil team in general. Having a Pokemon that can be a trap for people, and I think that would work in many interesting ways. It's strong, but it's also not that strong. And I think that works right after Blood Moon Ursaluna. The next Pokemon is an even weaker one, and that is Toedscool. I want Toedscool to be there to just be annoying. If there's any water types there, use a grass type move on them, or spore any Pokemon. Having a Toedscool that just spores them, very nice. And like I said, it's very weak and not that strong, so it will work, and the whole gym battle won't be too difficult. The next Pokemon is Gabite. Now it's getting a little bit stronger here again, and Gabite is a strong middle evolution, and it also isn't too strong. So I think Gabite works there very well and perfect, and just in general matches the team. He looks scary, he can be a part of an evil team, so I think it works well. I could definitely see Gabite trying to rob me. And now to the 2 final members. So the second to last one is Seismitoad. Seismitoad obviously looks evil, and it's strong as well. I think Seismitoad would be a perfect member of this team, and he looks really strong and creepy. And he almost looks like he could be the final Pokemon. But the final Pokemon is, of course, it is Crocodile. Crocodile is weaker than Blood Moon Ursaluna, but Blood Moon Ursaluna will be this type of Pokemon that comes out first, that is this beast, and is really difficult to defeat. While the Crocodile is the ace. And logically, Giovanni would have better control and friendship with Crocodile. Obviously, Crocodile looks like it would be a part of an evil team. He looks like he's an evil team leader. I think he's perfect as the ace here. And I think he would have Moxie here. That is the new team for all Kanto gym leaders. Tell me what you think about them, and if you think they're good. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this for other gym leaders and even Elite Born champions. I would love to do it for them as well. And I have a video here about an idea of a new gimmick for Pokemon champions. So if you enjoyed that video, feel free to watch that one, subscribe and like this video. And I'll see you guys again, either in that video or in another one. So have a great rest of your night, day, morning, or whatever. Peace out, and don't forget to follow.